Thanks so much, Sophie, and thanks everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you this morning. As Sophie said, my name's Mim. I'm from Suncorp Group. I have a really long title, but it's kind of brand and customer. And it's a delight to be here and talk to you today about the journey that we've been on in terms of using customer as a catalyst for creativity. And don't worry, I'm not only going to talk about creative in terms of the creative, we're going to talk about creative media. But before I get going, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting this morning and also pay my respects to elders past and present. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey backwards to when I started at Suncorp. I've been at Suncorp now for about 5.5 years. And when I first started in the gig as CMO, I thought, well, I better go around the country and meet my team because they're scattered everywhere. And I also thought, I better go and meet some customers. And so on my first trip up to Brizzy, I went and met one of our small business customers called Jerry. And Jerry owned a cafe in Brizzy. And he was the best person to talk to as one of the first customers I engaged with because he bloody loved Suncorp. Jerry spoke to me non-stop without taking breath for about half an hour about how awesome Suncorp was and what a great experience he'd had with Suncorp supporting him when he had had a situation that required insurance coverage. Now, the way he was talking, I thought Jerry must have had an experience like in the last 3 or 6 months. So this is in 2018, and Jerry was actually telling me about the 2011 floods that were devastating for Brisbane. So he was telling me about an experience he had with us 7 years ago. And, you know, he showed me where the water went up to on the wall and told me how Suncorp was so instrumental in getting the whole city back on its feet. And Suncorp went on the ground, as we do when there's weather events, and we became part of a group who were nicknamed the Mud Army because the city was literally covered in mud. And Jerry said, oh, you know, the Suncorp people pretty much brought the city back to life. And he said, and there was a moment in the cafe when I had it back up and running, and people were coming in to get coffees, and he said the Suncorp team walked in to come and get a coffee, and they were very recognisable because they wear kind of trade shirts with Suncorp all over it. And he said literally all the people in the queue for a coffee stood to the side to let the Suncorp people go through because, you know, everyone was so supported by Suncorp and really felt that the brand was making a difference. And I loved Jerry's story. And being new to the role of CMO, I thought, God, we've got an opportunity here. What if we could really think about how we harness that customer experience that Jerry had because of our organisation's customer obsession and bring that to the fore in our marketing? So if we think about customer obsession in our marketing and stop thinking about marketing as how are we selling products or more policies, but think about how are we delivering greater value to our customers, that we could actually harness all of that and create something incredibly powerful and something really different in the market. So I think all of us, if this clicks, there we go, all of us should be customer obsessed. We should all be thinking about and getting under the skin of what do our customers really want? What are their expectations? And we should all have a relentless focus on how we over-deliver on those expectations. Because the reality is, how you treat your customers will absolutely define the success of your business. And this isn't new news to anyone in this room because all of us are customers. So if you think about your own experiences, you know how it goes, right? If you have a really great experience with a brand, you go back for more. If you have a terrible experience with a brand, you head for the door and you don't go back. So we should all absolutely be obsessed with our customers. And that's for the clients, for media agencies, for our creative agencies. Everyone should be thinking about customers and how we can understand them better and know more. Because it makes good business sense. Excuse me, frog in throat. It does make good business sense because customer-obsessed companies perform better. On the screen here are a bunch of stats that are collated by Bain. They do global case studies of best practice from all around the world. And what their statistics tell us is that customer-obsessed companies are more successful. They have better strike rates and better conversion, so they've got a better new business growth. They've got happier customers with higher NPS. And they've also got stickier customers, so they've got higher retention. So it makes good business sense to be customer obsessed. But I would take that a step further and say those companies that really leverage customer obsession and think about their customers as a catalyst for creativity deliver greater brand and media effectiveness. And a little plug for our team here. I am going to talk about this case study a little bit today, the One House case study. It's a really great example of that, and the One House campaign did win the MFA Grand Prix last year, so I'll share a little bit about that in a minute. So a little bit more about Suncorp, to give you the full context. There's actually 9 brands in the portfolio, 9 insurance brands. And I think that is a strategic and a competitive advantage. But it is only a strategic and competitive advantage if each of those brands has a specific and clear role to play in the portfolio and in the market. So to make this portfolio successful, we have to have a relentless focus on customer and how we're going to differentiate each of those brands. So we've done a stack of work around customer segmentation and how we can really lean into the customer insights and what the customers want in those different segments and align them to the brands to differentiate it. So I'm going to show you how we've done that. 3 examples today. 1 through Suncorp, 1 through Amy, and 1 through another brand called Shannon's. So let's talk about Suncorp. So Suncorp Insurance is our Queensland-based brand, so very focused on the Queensland market. Not doing very well with this, am I? Sorry. So Suncorp, Queensland. The customer need here was really, really obvious and clear. What our customers needed was greater resilience. So what we see in the Queensland market and in that part of the world is we are seeing increasing frequency and severity of weather events. So things like cyclones, floods, we see it on the news all the time. So we're seeing increasing severity and frequency. And what we also see is that the longer people are out of their homes, i.e. the longer it takes to build or rebuild, the more tragic the impact on those individuals. So the longer you're out of your home, the worse your economic impact, the worse your social impact, and the worse your mental health impact. So if you think about it, if you're displaced from your home, sometimes for these people it can be up to 1 or 2 years. And they're out of their communities, they don't have a sense of stability, they don't have a sense of security. So for us, the need for customers around resilience was a really, really obvious one. And it was something that we felt we could lean into as an insurer. So we've been on this journey for about 3 years now. We started off with the campaign called One House, which you might be familiar with, and it did win last year's MFA Grand Prix. What we did was set about working out how we could change our customers' behaviour and give them information and the tools to actually help make their homes more resilient. So if they are impacted by a weather event, they can actually get back into their homes faster. So we partnered with James Cook University, CSIRO, and we actually innovated and prototyped and built and tested a home that was more resilient to a whole lot of perils. And through that journey, we documented everything. We filmed all of it. And we had this huge wealth of information that we wanted to share with our customers. But the really big challenge was we had all this great information and content, but how are we going to get this out to our customers? So we threw that gnarly challenge to our team at OMD over here and said, how are we going to do this differently? This is not a stock standard campaign, integrated campaign with a 30 and some out of home. So we decided to do something quite different, and we created a documentary with all of the footage that we had. It was a 26-minute documentary. We played it on Channel 9, and then we cut up all of the footage and content we had and disseminated it through a whole lot of different channels. Our owned channels, through digital channels, but the documentary really is what anchored the starting point for One House. And then we created an online hub where we made the information available to anyone for free in terms of how they could either build or renovate their home to make it more resilient. And we've continued on that resilience pathway for the last 2 years with the campaigns that followed with Resilience Road and now If Your Home Could Talk. So I think, a really clear customer need there, resilience, and then working with our media partner to say, how do we innovate and take all of this great information and content and get it into the hands of our customers to help them make a difference? The next campaign I'll talk about, or activity, is AMI. So AMI is our large national mass insurance brand, as we call it. It's the big kahuna in the portfolio. And so it's got a huge motor base. So with a huge motor insurance customer base, as an insurer, we don't want our customers to have car accidents. It's really simple. So road safety is actually one of our strategic pillars. And once a year, we do a piece of work and run some data and some research for something called the AMI Road Crash Index. And we take all of the crash data from the year that's been across all of Australia, and we identify the most hazardous hotspots on Australian roads. And we publish that material. We use a lot of media and PR to get the message out there. But again, this is about creating behaviour change to help tap into a need of customers, which is road safety. So again, challenge goes to OMD. What else can we do? And our creative agency partners too, but OMD's here, so I'm ramping up media today. It's the MFA Awards. We threw the challenge out to our agency partners. How do we take all this great information and get it into the hands of our customers to help make driving for them safer? And of course, the place and time when we're most at risk of having accidents is either, I think it's like 3 kilometres from your home, or it's when you're on a long roadie. And we were all coming out of lockdown and COVIDs, and we couldn't fly yet, so everyone was doing road trips. So we decided to take some of the data that we had. We partnered with Spotify. We geo-targeted people in high accident areas, and we sent them messages through Spotify to tell them that they were coming up to a high crash area. And we told them what was coming up, why it was a high crash area, how they could change their driving behaviour to be safer in that area. We also used data, the same data, to actually develop another campaign called Rest Towns. This little campaign was a lovely one where on highways we used out of home and again Spotify to tell people that if they'd been driving for more than 2 hours, they needed to take a break and have a rest. We actually partnered with small businesses as well in some of those small towns and offered customers discounts. So as you were driving along, you'd get a Spotify ad and you'd see an out of home at the same time that said, go and visit Rosie's Bakery and get, $10 off your next pie. It's an expensive pie. Bad example. But you get the idea of how we used media to get that content and that information out to customers at a place and a time where it was going to inform them and help change their behaviour to meet a need of the customer that was going to deliver value beyond flogging them a product. And last but not least, Shannon's. I love this brand. I don't know, how many of you know Shannon's? Only a few of you. Oh, it's a ripper. This brand is built on our customers' love of all things cars, or as we call them, motoring enthusiasts. So these people are the absolute definition of passionate. These are the people that spend all weekend in their garage tinkering on their classic car, going to the car rallies. They're almost a bit of a cliche, right? But they're just the best. And they are a marketer's absolute dream because we have such clear insights about these people because they're so passionate about this one topic. And so for us, the media brief is really targeted and really clear, and it allows us to have a whole lot of fun targeting these people with the Shannon's brand. So as you can imagine, the obvious things, we take up a lot of motorsport partnerships with media, but we also do a whole lot in terms of content creation. So we've got partnerships with people like Mighty Car Mods. Given only 3 people know Shannon's, that's probably lost on you all, but Mighty Car Mods. And we do a whole lot of content. We've got something called the Shannon's Club, which is literally just content about cars for car lovers. And anyone can engage with that club online, whether you're a customer or not a customer. And what we see off the result of that kind of work is there's huge brand love for Shannon's, huge engagement for Shannon's. And as a result, it's actually our second largest motorbook in the portfolio. So what does this mean for all of you in the room? What are the takeaways? What can you do as media partners to lean in and help your clients think more about customer? Well, I think you're in a really fortunate position because you are really close to the customer. You've got a whole lot of data and insights at your fingertips, not just the audience information. Don't just think audience, think customer. You've actually got a whole lot of behavioural information that you can tap into to help your clients better understand their customer and use that to build a view of the customer, who they are, how they want to engage with a brand, what are the things that they want to hear about and where, and use those data signals to really fuel new insights and think about the total experience the customer's going to have of a brand through their total journey. So as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about this stuff. And I think it's important because we've seen the results of thinking about customer and using it as a catalyst to drive creativity in the work we've done at Suncorp. And I really believe that as marketers, which is all of us in this room, that we should absolutely start with customer, really dig in and understand what needs we should be meeting, and use those insights to fuel and be a catalyst for bold creative ideas. Because ultimately, you will deliver great experiences and values for your customers, and that will then lead to exponential commercial outcomes for your business as well. So everybody wins. Excellent. Thank you so much.